Welcome back to the Healing Voice Podcast. My name is Lance Howard, and in this episode, you get to listen in on a private inner circle session. This session pertains to Pursue the Dream, a topic of the identity process. Sammy Jo is a quilter and fabric crafter who currently works in the education industry. Her dream is to work for herself, creating quilts and other comforting items for the home, as well as sharing the process and teaching others. We discuss her dream, her feelings and plans, distractions, and how the identity process helps a person better understand and pursue their dream. Many of you feel the inspiration of your own heart calling you to do something more, to make a change and to make a difference. You want to pursue your dreams. You want to know how to invest in healthy and passionate relationships to experience true connection and sense of belonging. You want to know, what am I here to do and how will I do it? Identity, who you are, and purpose, what you are here to do, are the most valuable things in this life. If you're looking to live on purpose, to create a life you love, and see your dreams come to life, you're invited to the identity process and the inner circle. What's the name of your store?
Sammy Jo Sews.
Sammy Jo Sews. Cool. And it's right now on Etsy.
Yes.
And it's moving.
Moving to Shopify. I don't think any of my listings are active on Etsy. And one of the reasons, I don't know if this matters, why I'm switching from Etsy to Shopify is because of the fees up front. Etsy charges you to relist an item every 6 months. So for example, there's a couple of grocery bags that I made that haven't sold. And so they auto renew for 20 cents every 6 months until they sell. But then after they sell, Etsy takes a chunk of money too. So Shopify, I'm moving over there because they have different, like a blog section, I think. You can organize your website differently. It'll actually just be named SammyJoSews.com, not Etsy/Sammy Jo Sews. And then the fee structure is just better for a small business. You don't pay to list it. You don't pay to house it on the website. It's just there, and then when it sells, of course, they take a cut.
Got it.
But I have several friends who are small business crafters like I am, and they both, all three of them, said that had they started with Shopify, they probably would have made in excess of $5,000 that Etsy took fees. Does that make sense? So that's kind of my thought process behind switching. Yeah. But I think one of the things that is fun and exciting is the idea of some sort of a blog and some like pictures as you go, like super simple projects, not simple, super beginner projects, like a pillowcase and pot holders and very basic things that can just be a walk through step by step. I've thought too about the idea of like selling that kit, like pre-cutting the fabric and folding it nicely and putting it in a bag and selling that, and then they go to the blog to follow the instructions, something like that. I don't know. My sister called me today, and she had a good idea that I need to think more about how it would work logistically, but essentially some sort of a subscription box that would be like limited items, right? Like 5 or 10, and you subscribe, and each month it is whatever I'm creating that month. Like it may be an apron one month, it may be pot holders or grocery bag set or, something different each month, but it would be like a set price, limited edition. So I thought that was fun that she thought about it because she's not a crafter, but she's trying to figure out how to help me, I guess, live out my dream of quitting the 9 to 5 and just sewing for a living, which is really encouraging that that she was thinking about it even, you know.
Right. Where do you collect your ideas? Where do you hold them?
In my brain.
Okay.
But I'm gonna hold them in a journal.
Okay.
One journal.
Yes. Journal. The subscription box idea is interesting. It's very good. I've watched quite a few tutorials on subscription boxes, and it's made some people a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as you have all the details straightened out, right, on your boxes and your shipping and making sure the customer is happy with that, receiving that, then it works well. It can work very well.
Yeah, I thought it was an interesting, it would take, because I also was explaining to her that sewing is a hobby and something that I get joy out of, but if it all of a sudden and by all of a sudden I mean over time too, becomes this, I have a deadline, I have to get this cranked out, I need to make 20 of these identical products, then that takes the joy out of it for me because the creative process is gone. And so like once you get to that point of mass production, then it's not fun. So kind of finding that balance or that fine line between I'm creating the subscription box, but even at that, like, I think as I process this out loud, I think that it could be fine to say like this is a monthly theme, like maybe in February it's going to be an apron, for example, but they're not all 5 necessarily going to be identical. 5 aprons. Like if there's 5 subscriptions, 5 people buy a subscription box, right? Then they're not necessarily all going to be identical. Like maybe they all are a certain style or all the same kind of a print or a color scheme or whatever. But I think that most of the fun is in just like putting things together and making it. And if it becomes this cookie cutter project, then that's not fun for me.
How many ideas have you listed to me so far that need to go on that paper?
A lot.
Okay.
Just give me a minute here.
Yep.
A subscription box, limited quantity of them, not identical, and then just like whatever your monthly theme is or item. And I listed a few of those out: aprons, grocery totes, pot holders, table runners.
That was the idea your sister suggested.
And then my blog idea, doing how-tos with potentially a cut fabric kit that would be for sale. The blog would be free, obviously, like you don't have to pay to read my things, but
you can't get
like supplies. I could put the measurements, the materials in there, but it would be fun to just have a coordinated set. Pillowcases would be an easy beginner project. Yeah.
Let's add, if you think it's a good idea, reaching out to your peeps on social media, asking who would be interested in something like this and see what kind of feedback you get.
Okay.
That's a good starting place, right? Just to know, do I even know anyone interested? That's going to be your launch point, is the people who will most likely purchase from you. And you may do a trial with them, like some kind of affordable trial, because it's going to help you learn the process. And they're now in your own inner circle helping you build this, and it's costing them next to nothing. Right. Like, hey, $10 a month. It's just gonna, and your feedback and right? Just because obviously there would be a referral program because you're talking about a limited offer type of thing. So it probably wouldn't take a lot of marketing on your part. Eventually, it wouldn't take a lot, I would guess, because your people are the ones who probably know others like them in their local area or across the country because they're family or whatever.
Sure.
Or they give your things as gifts to others and they're like, how did you get, and so every box has some kind of referral card in it, and of course all that's on your website too, but at least the people getting your box will see it and have a constant reminder. And that maybe gives them a 10% discount on the next month or a bonus item or something.
Right.
Okay. As we hash out the ideas for, let's call it the dream. We're not going to call it a business. The dream. We want to make sure it's the dream. This is what I'm here to do, which is what the identity process manual is about. And I'm assuming there's still some parts of the manual that are not complete yet, but that precedes this detailed planning because the who am I, my mission, my vision, and my values, and then my parts of self that's in the manual, that section, all of that will make this more clear. It'll remove the mud because you can have tons of ideas and then get to work on them and go, this is not me.
Right.
And then you're miserable. Like your pre-thought that you said if it becomes more of a production thing and it takes the fun out of it for me, right? So you want to stick to the dream and not even put yourself into that predicament if at all avoidable. If it's avoidable. It may not be, and that's fine because it'll all just work out. You'll be changing and shifting and growing, and people will come onto your team, and so it won't just be you. You're not alone in any of it. But still, it does need to be your love that you can do day in and day out, 6 to 10 hours a day, and it needs to be lovely. And you should be quite clear on the things that are not lovely to you, as clear as you can be. That doesn't mean you know the unlovely things of running a sewing business yet, but you'll learn it along the way. But at least you already know, or maybe if I have to do all the budgeting work for this, it's going to drive me insane. So I need to hire a bookkeeper.
Right. I need to reach out to somebody.
Or whatever, or maybe someone on my team wants to exchange bookkeeping for a free box every month or whatever, just think. And when you put the idea out there, that's when the flow comes right to you. So the identity manual.
So I have not done the I statements. I have not done the questionnaire section about my vision and all of those things. So I guess I really have a lot of work to do on this before I do anything else.
Sounds like it, and it's so good though because it will make everything else so clear. You'll just know where you're headed. You'll know where you're headed, and that doesn't mean you'll know everything about how you're going to get to the end, whatever the end even means. It just means you know the right direction, and that direction actually is you. It is you. So as you take the steps, it's just going to feel good. It's just going to feel right because it is you. It's not someone else. which is where the frustrations come in.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, I have to do this, and oh, I need to do this. And there are people trying to accomplish or have accomplished what you're trying to accomplish.
Mm-hmm.
And their way, their methods may not be the way and methods for you.
No,
most likely are not.
We're not the same people. Like, it makes sense that
it doesn't have to be done the same way. That's
their
the
path
thing.
to success and my path to my success will not be the same because
yes,
we're not the same.
So you've made it all the way down to what section did you say again?
I'm on letter F, current themes.
Cool.
Which is really not that far into it. But I think it was the fun part because it was the, like, about my childhood, about my birth story, like, and all of the name part that's so interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then apparently
This is your dream.
Mm-hmm.
It's your dream.
I know, and the longer I wait to move towards it, the more time. I would say the more time I'm wasting, but I don't think that that's really the word I want to use because it's just the more time until I achieve the dream, you know?
Yeah.
It's not the end because it's a dream that I will continue to live out until I'm not a physical presence on this earth anymore, but...
Right. The dream is not necessarily some end game.
No.
The dream is just living the life.
Mm-hmm.
That's really all it is. And that begins once you get very clear. That's what the identity process is about. That's what the manual is about. It's just you getting clear.
Mm-hmm.
And then you instantly begin living the dream.
Mm-hmm.
And then
you're there, yeah.
You're there.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just expands and it grows and you build.
Mm-hmm.
You build your queendom. You begin to build that thing, and you'll get to stand above it and go,
Look at this.
This is me.
This
is
is the
mine.
dream.
This is the dream. I'm living it."
Mm-hmm.
And isn't that interesting? This is the dream, and I'm living it. We've been given some other idea of living the dream,
Mm-hmm.
and actually that's someone else's dream. That's
Right.
someone else's life.
Right.
It's not your dream. That's not your life.
Right.
You just think we think it looks good or it looks great because it looks easy and it looks fun and it looks free, but we don't actually know what they are experiencing.
Right.
They're smiling on the TV or on social media, but we have no idea
What happens
what's
when the camera's
happening when the camera is off.
Mm-hmm.
So it may look like a dream to you and you're like, oh, I want that, which is not a good sentence. What is your dream? And then the opportunities, the freedom, the prosperity, all of those things will naturally open up when it's your dream and when it's your path.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe to get even more specific about the dream is if we don't know who we are and what we're here to do, we're still not reaching for the right dream.
Sure.
Even that can be a confusing point. It's like, where did this dream actually come from?
Mm-hmm.
You're saying you want XYZ, but is that really you?
Right.
Or is that a spark from somewhere else?
Right.
And sparks are okay, but you will end up miserable if it's not the spark for your life, if it's not the spark out of your heart.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds like the sewing thing is the spark of your own heart.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to me that you can spend hours doing it daily, and though there are parts of it that you don't fully enjoy, you do enjoy the process and you do enjoy the end result.
Mm-hmm.
And that sounds like how I feel about THV and podcasting and everything I'm doing, as an author and a musician and coaching. There are parts that aren't so fun, but when I see the vision, the end, with the end in mind, I'm like, oh, this is just a little task that I have to get through now.
Mm-hmm.
And later I'll get to just enjoy it, and other people get to enjoy it too.
Right.
Then the thing that maybe once was a huge mountain is now just like a little a little step I have to just get over. And once I do the step a few times, now I just know how to do it, and it's no big deal.
Right.
And it gets easier and easier. It flows faster and faster. And then the expansion of your territory or your domain or your queendom, the expansion is moving quicker and quicker and quicker. Right. More people are coming in. You find more serendipitous opportunities, and it just grows. It's alive suddenly. It becomes alive, and it wants to grow because it is life coming straight out of your heart. It is your dream. That is good. That is so good. Well, we should spend some time working on the identity process manual that comes out of the identity process book. And we'll do that off the record. And maybe we'll follow up and do another record after that. But I'm super excited for you because I see you moving in the direction. And we don't want you to move too far before getting your manual complete, because we don't want you to have to backtrack and be like, oh man, I set all this stuff up and now I'm frustrated because it's not quite where I need to be going. And remember, your dream is the mark, like in archery, the bullseye, so to speak. And if you are not 100% sure, then that means your degree's off. And so the manual is getting you to the place of being 100% sure about what kind of arrow you're about to loose and how you're going to loose it, so that it's not a degree off. It will go straight to the mark. Every time.
I mean, it's one time because it's one dream, but it's like...
But there are smaller marks to hit along the way.
Sure.
So every time you're ready to let the next idea go, it's going to fit into... Who am I? What am I here to do? What's my mission? What are my values? What's my statement say? And I need to review my statement because I want to make sure this next decision fits who I am, and not some idea that was planted because I scrolled through Instagram and someone said I should try this idea because they're tracking me and they know I'm having these thoughts apparently. So it's like all that can get us off track. Oh, I know, because in a week, that dumb algorithm really is watching me and makes a suggestion. I'm like, oh, well, that could be something. And then I'll spend a couple hours digging into it to see if it's worth it. And the couple hours becomes an investment of my time. And searching into it actually allows me to know my identity process, my manual, better.
Because you're eliminating things that don't serve you.
Eliminating things. Sometimes we just don't know until we do.
Right.
So we have to kind of begin to go down the rabbit trail.
You just have to be cognizant of knowing that you're investing, like you're investing time in a exploration, not like...
It may go nowhere.
And by you, I mean me. Like, understanding, that okay, I might spend 2 or 3 hours on this idea, researching and looking at it, and is this part of, my ultimate road, without just plowing straight ahead, head down, plowing through.
Right.
But just being cognizant of, like, this is an exploration, and I might have to turn around and backtrack and come back to this point and go a different route.
Yeah, and to clarify that in a more encouraging way, I think it's more encouraging. We never have to turn around and go back, because even the fact that you did the exploration means you did discover new land, new territory of possible expansion, and saw that territory wasn't the place for you. So though you made a detour, now you just get to get back on the track, but you have moved forward.
Yeah.
You moved forward because you studied and you researched and you learned. So it's okay. It's maybe not okay if we repeatedly do that and then we're not making any other...
If we're just like sidelining the whole time and not making any, actual forward progress or narrowing of ideas or narrowing of, if you're eliminating things that don't fit your end target, then you should be narrowing towards it. But if you're constantly sidestepping, exploring this and exploring this and exploring this, then you're not making forward progress as quickly or narrowing that trajectory.
And then I have to ask the person who does that, do you know who you are?
Right.
Do you really know what your dream is? Do you know what your mission is and what your values are and what your vision is? Because you keep sidestepping over and over and over and over, which means you must not be sold on who you are and what you're here to do.
Right.
You must
So let's
determine
go back
this
to the
first.
identity process manual and really make sure we're solid.
You'll know we will know if we're sidetracking too often because the frustration will settle in. It just gets frustrating. Frustration is a wonderful sign of just not being on track. Yeah, it's a good sign. It's a good thing. It's a good experience to have, because once we have it in this context, then it won't take us so long to figure it out the next time or some distraction comes around.
Sure.
We'll figure it sooner and we can move on. Okay. Any thoughts, ideas, questions, concerns related to your shop and everything and moving forward?
I don't think so. I mean, I think it'll...
Thanks for listening to the Healing Voice podcast.
Session
if you are willing to try a new
manual.
version of yourself, would like to have the proper tools for clear decision making, and would like to experience increasing satisfaction in your life, I invite you to try the identity process. Go to the website thv-tv.com to make your initial appointment. Feel free to email me at thvtv@protonmail.com.